I am on a quest to beat Diablo 2 Hell Hardcore mode with every set in the game. I'm about halfway through the whole ordeal and Blizzard has kind of recently released a new class with its whole own new set to go with it. If you want to stay in the loop on my progress in that, it's really easy. Just press the subscribe button and the good times will come. And well, what more do I have to say? So let's get going. We immediately encounter the first problem. Horazon's Splendor can't be worn until we are well into the 60s level wise. With that in mind, I figured it would be fun if I played through every difficulty with a different set and build. So we'll be doing 3 different sets and 3 different builds throughout this video. One of which isn't even actually in the game, but I digress. That is for Nightmare. Our first set, which I'll showcase in a minute when we equip it, unlocks when you manage to survive all the way up to the glorious level of 8. Which should be easy enough, but turns out to be quite the challenge. Taking a breather in town, I come across something even more worrisome. Even the rogue encampment has realized that the world is going to absolute shit and has adjusted its prices accordingly. Guess I'll have to go and do some more grinding if I want to buy things in this game. Luckily for us, however, we won't need to. As for our first set, we are using Bane's Garments, which unlocks at level 8. This set consists of 3 pieces. Bane's Oathmaker, a set Chris that I found a million times during this run for some reason. It has 20 faster run walk and maximum damage per level as its base affixes. The set bonuses are 30% deadly strike and 3 to mana after each kill. Then there is Bane's Wraith Skin, the new set hard leather armor. This sports 50 defense, the extremely rare 30 magic resist, and as its set bonuses it also comes along with attack rating per level and 25% faster hit recovery. The final piece is Bane's Authority, a level 8 belt with 10% faster cast rate and 20 life that gets an additional 15 energy when you have other pieces of the set equipped. When you have the full set equipped, this also comes with 1 to all skills, 25% faster cast rate, enhanced damage, some dexterity and 40 magic find. So basically this set is a bunch of low level nonsense and 1 to skills with 35 faster cast rate and some magic find. With the entire set equipped, the onus is now on me to figure out where I'm making my Breaking Batman's Back reference. I'm sure I'll come up with something along the way to bail though. For now though, it is time to explain the first of my 3 builds. I figured there are 2 ways to work with Bane's Garments. You can make a melee character or a good build. Now cause this is going to go only through normal before we are switching away from it. And I will have to do a full hell run with this at some point at an undisclosed time in the future, where I will really want to play as a caster. I decided to go with the Cleave skill. Cleave is a barbarian's wet dream. Even the thought of this makes those cloths rise up with anticipation. So of course it's a warlock skill. What this does is make it so that you aren't hitting just in front of you but are attacking in a circle with every attack, allowing you to hit multiple enemies. Despite not needing to find any runes for this run, I ended up in the tower cause it's one of the best places to do some early leveling. We aren't lacking in power level at all, but we will need to hit level 25 before getting to Act 5 to avoid the experience penalty. If you don't know, if you get into Act 5 before level 25, you will run into an experience penalty. This was put there to prevent people from wanting to get rushed and such. And as far as we can tell, there is no one on the entirety of Battle.net wanting to get rushed. It has worked swimmingly. All kidding aside, always make sure to sit down and do that level 25 grind before hitting Act 5. Speaking about sitting down, I want to thank this video's sponsor, FlexiSpot. Between streaming, recording and editing, I spend around 8 to 12 hours a day at my desk, and my old chair was definitely starting to make that apparent. So when FlexiSpot reached out, I figured it was time for an upgrade. This is the C7 Max and pretty much everything can be adjusted to fit how you like to sit. The headrest, backrest, lumbar support, seat depth and armrest can all be adjusted, and the seat is really comfortable for those long gaming sessions. It also reclines and has a footrest, which is perfect for taking a little break after getting your hardcore character killed. I've been really happy with it so far. It also comes with a 30-day return policy and a 10-year warranty. If you're looking for something more budget friendly, there's also the C5, or you can check out their new C7 Morpher. You can use code C750 for $50 off the C7 Max, and FlexiSpot currently has their anniversary sale with up to 65% off. Links are in the description. Now back to the important stuff, getting this warlock to Hellbale without accidentally getting murdered. Once done with the level farming, I move things along towards the Temu Butcher quest, which has us retrieving Charcy's hammer, the Horadric Malus. A little trick you can do before fighting Andariel is to buy all the antidotes you can drink. Each one gives 50% poison resist, which doesn't stack, but their duration stacks. So once you drink 1,000,000, you will have a really long ass time with great resistances. This is a great strategy if you didn't pick up any poison resist. If it wasn't clear yet, Andariel is a poison based boss. She is still the first boss of the game though. So without too much trouble, we end up making our way through her health bar. And onwards to Act 2. It starts off with us finding a unique dirk, which is the Diggler. It has no damage, but you can increase that with something like enchant, which is definitely not foreshadowing in any way, shape or form at all. There is also the ever powerful ignore targets defense and a bunch of resistances. All in all, not a bad weapon for a little dagger at all. The next skill we are getting into makes it very clear who Blizzard's favorite child is. Psychic Ward is just a much better bone armor. I've talked in previous videos and streams, which you should check out. I could be live right now. Anyway, Psychic Ward absorbs any sort of damage thrown your way in just flat out obscene amounts. At level 2, it's absorbing 265 life, with my life total being at 270. For the price of a single skill point, I have doubled my life total. I don't know which class is crying harder right now, the Barbarians or the Necros. Either way, step aside nerds, the Warlock is here to stay. With the Staff of Kings found in the Maggot Lair, we've reached level 19, which is my favorite level to imbue some boots. Level 19 is the first level that you can get 20 faster run walk on them. I mean, I got 10, but with dual resists to fire and poison, some Frost Nova procs for crowd control and just a little sniff of magic find, I'll gladly use these. The rest of Act 2 is spent casually, one-shotting things like the Summoner and preparing for the Duriel fight. There are two things that we do here. The first is making a shield with some resistances, cause as a true gaming expert I can confidently tell you that having resistances is better than not having resistances. I know that is the mind-boggling advice that you are here for. And don't worry, I'll be here all video. The other thing is the same as what we did for Andariel, except this time around we do it with thawing potions because Duriel deals cold damage. Upon entering the Tal Rasha's chamber, it turns out that between absorbing our entire life total as damage and having massive cold resist, we are now able to casually tank the big bug that has terrorized every other class for the last 25 years. It's a good thing no one has ever heard of power creep. Having made our way into Act 3, we find ourselves looking for our very own DIY Kaleem. For our first piece we need his eye, which is in the spider cavern. The spider defending it bravely ends up dropping us some gloves. Now I know these don't look like much, but slowing down monsters is one of the strongest mods in the game, so even at 25% I'll gladly use them. In the Flayer jungle we pick up the Git bin, before breaking our weapon on the literal final enemy of the Flayer dungeon. After having escaped the jungle, it is time to be in the ruined temple, which is the place where I end up farming to level 25 to escape the experience penalty I talked about earlier. And in Travancore I pick up the final part of our build, our own Durance key, Kaleem's Flail. Something that surprised me was just how tanky we actually are with Psychic Ward. It turns out that we are able to walk up to some dolls and kill them in melee range, which means truly that nothing is sacred in this day and age. Not even the natural order of things remains unchanged. I will now stop mentioning how I think the Warlock might still be just a little bit too strong for its own good, just a little bit. And with a little bit of that done, it's time to do a little bit of this killing Mephisto here, who ends up dropping the first of many set Chris's I found during the run. Act 4 is a small act with only 3 quests. All of them are relevant though, so first we deal with Izual and work our way towards the River of Flame to deal with the Armorer and smash ourselves a soulstone to make sure Diablo 4 can happen story wise. Reward wise we don't get much from it, just an Eld rune. In the Chaos Sanctuary we work our way through Diablo's butlers before fighting the big man himself. The fight ends up taking forever, which might just be because of us using a weapon that we should have switched out from a long time ago, but that would defeat the point of the video. So instead I swung away at the big demon for 15 minutes before his demise finally happened. I'm sure there were all sorts of lessons throughout this, with the big one probably being to not fight Diablo with a weapon that deals a symbolic amount of damage as its baseline, and the other one being that I am very happy I did this as a melee build through normal, so I don't have to suffer through this again when I'm revisiting this set as a caster at some point in the future. Despite my constant sass and sarcasm, I do think this set is doing surprisingly well considering the weapon's minimum damage and my credit limit are the same number, but maximum damage per level with attack rating can only go so far before we are wanting to leave this set far behind and want to be taken on the next roller coaster, but I have a feeling we are getting closer. One thing we could do to improve it is to use the socket that we get as a quest reward for defeating Shank the Overseer. However, this video is Horazon themed, so that's where the sockets are going. Before rounding out normal, I make sure to not be underleveled. There is nothing worse than dying right before you can rid yourself of the early game setup after all. It would mean we'd have to do the entire early game again, and I'd rather not. To ensure this, I farm Eldritch until I hit level 29, during which a unique full helm drops as well. Our next two sets both have helm slots, so we won't be using it long, but Dusk Deep is a great helm thanks to its all resistant damage, so for about half an hour give or take, and about 2 minutes at most after editing. I'll love it like I found it myself, because all of our slots for the rest of the run will be taken up by set items that we are locked into due to the rules of the run. We of course end up finding a soul rune in the crystalline passage. Normally we spend hours farming the Countess in Nightmare to find one of these and get ourselves a lore helm, so it makes sense that we casually drop it along the way without even trying for it when we are locked out of it. This game is just like a cat after all. Need something, you will farm for eternity and never see it. Can't use something due to some arbitrary rules you made for yourself. Here you go, piles and piles of it. Jokes on the game though, I did end up using this soul rune, but not for a long time. In the Frozen River we deal with Frozenstein and save Anya for the Scroll of Resistance. We won't need them in normal, but later on during Hell we will be happy to have them. For now though, it's time to move on towards the Ancients at the Ariad Summit. This fight, like the Diablo fight, ends up being a long cleaving session, where slowly but surely, but mostly slowly, each of the Ancients goes down. In the Worldstone Keep level 2, I want to make sure to give extra attention to how much I hate this game sometimes, when a second soul rune drops during the run, where I have no use for them. The final thing I want to mention before we will be wrapping up normal is that not only does Psychic Ward absorb a ton of damage, it also stuns enemies attacking you for some free crowd control, allowing me to deal with Lister the Tormentor and the Minions of Destruction. Bale has a lot of health but isn't very dangerous, so repairs have to be done during the fight, but besides that there isn't much of a threat and Mr. Act Bossman goes down easily enough, completing the first part of the run. Before switching to our second set, it feels only fair to round out the relevant optional stuff I blatantly skipped but will claim to have forgotten. And with our final 2 skill points and the ability to respec acquired, we are fully done with normal, which means it's time to grab ourselves a change of clothes and get into Nightmare with the Warlord's Glory. Now I hear you thinking, the Warlord's Glory set, what is that? I've never heard of that. No need to be worried or think you've missed out. The Warlord set has been in the game code since forever, but hasn't actually been put into the game. There isn't a single enemy in the game that can drop these items, but thanks to the powers of magic and wizardry, together with some hero editor, we now all get to experience this set and find out together if Warlord's Glory is aptly named. This set consists of 5 pieces: Authority, Crushers, Mantle, Lust and Conquest. Warlord's Lust is a great helm that has 50 defense and 30 life. Warlord's Mantle is a set full plate mail that has some enhanced defense and 30 cold resist. Warlord's Conquest are set gauntlets with 45 attack rating and 15 to strength. Warlord's Authority is a set plated belt that has 25 to life and 20 lightning resist. And Warlord's Crushers are set greaves that have 20 faster run walk and 20 fire resist. You can tell this set isn't really finished cause there are no rewards for wearing 2, 3 or 4 pieces of the set. There are some for the full set. You get a level 10 meditation aura, plus 1 to all your skills, 15 life stolen per hit, some defense, a very small bit of mana, 15 fire resist and 9 damage reduction. All in all. And I'm full on speculating here. This looks like a reworked version of Saigons or something that was intended to compete with it. Like a second full gear early game set that adds different things and solves early game mana with the Insight aura. Cause while it's a lower level of meditation than on an Insight, this doesn't have a level requirement. I'm sure it would get one in a later development stage, but that's kind of what I'm guessing they were going for. And while this is obviously just crappy Saigons that I'm gonna be stuck with for all of Nightmare, I figured I'd try and make the most of the meditation aura and go with the most mana intensive skill known to man, Nova, which in the Warlock's case means going for Fire Nova, or in a more general sense, a fire based Warlock. Build wise, this isn't too complicated. We dump as many points as we have at our low level into Fire Nova, Apocalypse and Flame Wave and call it a day. So let's get back into the action and head into Nightmare. First things first, we do need to check our damage and resistances. Damage wise, we made it up to 350 to 400 Nova damage, which sounds awful, but is much stronger than it sounds. That's not something to worry about. I am kind of worried about our resistances. The fire resist is fine at 60, the others are laughably bad though. We also kind of don't have a weapon, meaning we have our work cut out for us. Especially considering we immediately run into our first problem. On any given run, I kind of expect fire immunes to become a problem around Act 4 Nightmare. This time around, however, the game decided to wave around its favorite finger. And no, I'm not talking about the index or ring, as it has us encountering our first immune in the cold plains, meaning we need to have a solution for them right now. Luckily we do. We have two even. The first would be running past the problem. The other solution is to have our mercenary deal with it. It's a hard fight for them, but we can help thanks to Blizzard in their almighty wisdom giving Fire Nova knockback, allowing us to stun lock the enemy despite not dealing any damage and allowing Pratham to whittle it down. One thing I picked up along the way is a 4-socket longsword, and we all know where this is going. This time around I do need some runes from the tower. Normally the lower floors are where you find what you need cause of how drops work with the countess. This time around however, it were some ghosts that ended up getting me the M rune I was looking for. I am sure there is great surprise in everyone when I tell you that I made Spirit. I'll show it on screen a few seconds for those that have never seen it. But this rune word is crazy broken. This is the literal worst roll I could have ever gotten, and it's still an insane weapon. For the final few runes I needed, I decided to go and save the barbarians in normal. This nets you a Ral, Ort and Tal as your rewards. I used these to make an insight. This mercenary weapon has a level 15 meditation aura, making my entire gear setup, set and build irrelevant. But we are just going to skip over that part and move on, cause I'm also making a rhyme. This shield has resistances, cannot be frozen and magic find. It's not the best shield ever, but a decent enough upgrade from our triple flawed diamond shield. It was at this point I realized that the Warlord's Glory set does actually have bonuses for wearing parts of the set instead of the whole set, making me very curious how many people I'll have in my comment section the coming months, if not years, going, well actually, about it. I didn't realize it at first cause I do zero prep for these videos and the green set bonuses weren't there. Anyway, the bonus for wearing 2 items is getting the 15 life leech, which is actually kind of bonkers. I never imagined this set would be an amazing choice for a mercenary, but here we are. At this point we are ready to continue on. Andariel is very weak to fire, and we are throwing thousands of fire damage her way, which ended up going exactly as you thought it would. While I kind of led you on to think we are playing a Fire Nova Warlock, truth be told though, we are playing an Apocalypse Warlock, as demonstrated here on Fangskin. We are only using the Nova to knock things back into the burning ring of fire. We also ended up finding an ethereal peasant crown. It fills me with so much happiness to know that I had every great helm available for this run, but can't use any of them. This dreadful trend continues straight on with a Lum rune that could be used for a Smoke or Lionheart, both amazing armors in their own right. In the Arcane Sanctuary I ended up going the wrong way as you do, but it resulted in finding the final Ral rune I needed to make an Ancient's Pledge. This shield has a pile of resistances and we will be using it for the rest of Nightmare. At the end of the Sanctuary we offscreen the Diablo 1 Sorcerer and head towards the Duriel fight. Apocalypse's range is almost as big as the entire arena, so while the demon bug has a whole lot of health and takes quite a few hits, it's not like it's hard to hit him or anything, and after doing that for a while he is all of the dead. And as celebration, we try to hire a Holy Freeze mercenary for some crowd control. I had to rejoin the game to get one, which made me think that there should be a dedicated reroll button. Apocalypse does an absolutely stupid amount of damage, so a lot of the rest of Nightmare is going to be me showcasing how I am blowing things up with a single button press, like here when I find the Jade figurine and grab the eye again, or here when I basically insta-kill the Gitbin guys. This party trick works on the council as well if you were wondering. And as long as you take care to not get electrocuted by Mephisto, it will do just fine in the lower levels of the Durance of Hate as well. I think we all get the gist of it now, so let's speedrun the rest of Nightmare, cause there isn't too much to talk about with the Warlord set. It just has a way too familiar sense of wasted potential, and I'm basically on cruise control thanks to Apocalypse at this point anyway. We light Isual on fire, get our Hellforge hammer, and get a Hell rune for our trouble. The Chaos Sanctuary is filled to the brim with fire immune Doom Knights, but by knocking them back into the wall with Fire Nova, we are able to let Al-Hizir work his way through them. Big Daddy D himself isn't immune to fire, so it's just a matter of spamming his own Diablo 1 attacks on him until he is defeated, which isn't very hard, but still harder than in the first game where you actually just stun lock him to death in a couple of seconds. In the second iteration of the series he at least drops some items, none that are useful for us, but I still think stuff like a Tal Rasha's Swirling Crystal is cool to find. We got some pretty bad rolls on it. You're looking for +2 to all the skills. Instead we got 2, 1 and 1. Shank the Overseer gets blown to bits. Like in normal, we aren't using the socket reward we get until we hit our final set. In the Ancient's way, we get annoyed by a Death Lord that is both immune to physical and fire, meaning we can't deal damage to it. Not being able to deal with an enemy despite having multiple angles of attack is a thing that irks me greatly, but is a part of the game. So we get him Stepsister stuck with the help of some clever Fire Nova spam and move on with our life. Before heading into the Ancient's fight, we save Anya from some souls. Her health is our only concern, of course. We weren't here only to get our resistances or anything. We are the good guys after all, we don't roll like that. While saving Princess Anya from her ice castle, I picked up a magic amulet that turned out to be chromatic, meaning it has 29 resist all, easily making it our amulet for the rest of the run. This ends up finally fixing our resistances, with fire and cold being at maximum and lightning following that up closely. If you were wondering why we are having such an easy time with Nightmare, the answer is pretty clearly shown here as well. Our random crap wearing Warlock is dealing a casual 5000 damage at level 52. For comparison's sake, I regularly clear a hell run with 1300 damage, or about a fourth of this. Look, I'm really not trying to make this character look broken as shit, but this run made a Hamadin feel like a hard playthrough. There are some nerfs that I'm encountering in a little bit on the final build, cause like I mentioned earlier, we aren't doing repeat builds through difficulties, so while the apocalypse is now, we are almost ready to take off our full metal jacket and say good morning Sanctuary with a whole new build in hell. On top of the Ariad Summit, we chunk away the Ancients, before making our way through the Worldstone Keep, where we have to use Fire Nova for crowd control again. The Bale Waves don't exactly put up a lot of resistance either. And with the Worldstone Chamber cleared out of annoying tentacled monsters, Nightmare is completed. The rare ring turned out to be Entropy Loop, which is okay. I don't know what else to tell you about it. It's the most mediocre but best I have right now ring of all time. At this point I would love to equip Horazon Splendor, however I will need some levels to do so. The highest requirement is level 67, so cue the training montage in the Terror Zones. Having done the required grinding for this run and the usual plus the skills quests, it is time for the second to last respec. Not because I'm doing more sets, but because I screwed up the build cause of some nerfs that I knew nothing about. Let's start with showcasing the Horazon Splendor set. It is the Warlocks class specific set, so power level wise we are hoping it's something between Immortal Kings, Griswolds and Tal Rashas, and isn't something like Alders or Natalias. Now don't get me wrong, those aren't bad or anything, but the power level difference is vast. For our helm we have the set Demon Head, Horazon's Countenance. This helm gives +1 to skills, attack rating per level, some stats and magic damage reduction. As set bonuses it has some more strength and 5% increased maximum life. Horazon's secrets are in his occult codex. This has +2 to eldritch skills, hit recovery, a huge amount of life and what is probably the strongest mod on here, -25% to enemy fire resistance. Horazon's Dominion has +2 to demon skills and some resistances. His hold gives attack rating, fire damage crushing blow, 30 increased attack speed and dual leech. The boots are probably the best part of the entire set. 30 faster run walk, 25 stats, and cannot be frozen with the super rare affix magic resist. I can see these boots getting used on many characters. Wearing the full set gets you +3 to skills like on all the other class specific sets. 350% enhanced damage, cause why wouldn't it? Level 30 enchant, 50 stats, 50 resist all, 50 shades of grey and 100 magic find. Between the attack rating, crushing blow, strength cannot be frozen. Level 30 enchant combined with -25 fire resistance, massive amount of enhanced damage and tons of life. I'm inclined to think the developers wanted us to go for a melee build of some sort. So I decided to go for the other melee build the Warlock has with some demons for support. Which sounds fine and all, but what I really want with this set is to throw it on a Fireclaw Werebear, cause this set sounds amazing for it. Like I want to remove the Warlock requirement with Hero Editor and use this on a Druid so bad. Skill wise is where I messed up. I went for a mirrored blades build with Blade Warp and Echoing Strike for support. That all was completely fine. What I didn't know however was that the demon spells were nerfed. My plan was to order Lister the Tormentor to go in the Throne of Destruction, but apparently it's been adjusted for inflation cause you need 20 points into the skill for that these days, which is a bit too steep for my liking. So instead I went back to the drawing board after clearing the Den of Evil in Hell and respec'd into the goat summons instead. Now to explain these skills. Mirrored Blades makes copies of our melee attack. My initial idea was to use this as the main skill, but in practice I used it almost exclusively on act bosses, thanks to a specific weapon I ended up finding. Blade Warp has you throwing a weapon and teleporting to where it lands. I learned the hard way that this can be extremely dangerous on hardcore. More on that later though. The skill I ended up using the most is Echoing Strike. This has you playing a cracked out throwing barbarian. Now normally you're supposed to power this with a hex of your choice, but thanks to our complete set bonus we get to use enchant instead and save ourselves the skill points, which is where I got the space to get some goats going. Now normally this is the part where I would show you what kind of cool weapon I'm going to be using, but I found nothing of the sort. So I'm going with the Diggler I found all the way back in normal. Damage wise it isn't as disappointing as you'd think. Thanks to enchant our Echoing Strike gets up 3 to 4,500 damage with 7,500 attack rating. Now that I'm not using the Warlock set for myself anymore, I'm also looking to upgrade my belt. To do so I decided to go and gamble with Geed. I ended up picking up Dire Clasp, a 28 life belt with some cold and poison resistances. And with our fancy new Horazon set finally fully equipped, it's also time to use our socket quests. I went with an Ort Rune in the helm and a perfect diamond in the shield for more lightning resistance and more resistances in general. It's finally time to move on, so I start heading deeper into Act 1, where in the underground passage I end up finding a 5-socket Naga. One of the rune words I almost never use but is actually quite good is Honor. It has a bunch of damage, some life leech, deadly strike, a bunch of attack rating and a plus to skill. And since I don't have a decent weapon anyway, I figured why not try it. This is where I came to a tried and true tested conclusion. I couldn't tell the difference between the two weapons at all. Both the Diggler and the Honor rune word did fine. That was a bit surprising. But if I can't tell the difference between the attacking power of weapons, it means I should pick the defensively best option. And in that department there is only one clear winner. Spirit nets us a pile of life and mana, so I ended up going with my Spirit on a throw and melee based build. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Speaking about Old Faithful, I went to Tristram to save Kane. However, the ring I got as a reward wasn't worth it. In the barracks I encounter the first of surprisingly many physical and fire immune enemies. The way I'm dealing with these is to slowly but surely, but mostly slowly chip them down. I can do that thanks to a combination of Spirit having some random poison and lightning damage and the mercenary having cold damage from his aura. Now it takes forever, but it does get the job done risk free, and that's all that matters in a hardcore run. In the barracks I take care of Butcher at home and recover the Heraldric Malice. Figuring I only had a few slots left to work with no matter what I did, I decided to just use my imbue on trying to roll a new belt. It ended up being bad. In the jail level 1 I waved at my old weapon before moving along to Andariel. The Maiden of Anguish turned out to be a harder fight than I had expected. Like in the other difficulties, she is weak to fire, so dealing damage to her isn't the problem. The problem came from my tanks just not being able to do their job because of the poison damage flying everywhere. I had to do some running around and some goat spamming, but in the end I made it through. Act 2 starts off with collecting the skill point you get for defeating Radamant. Having passed that start, I made my way towards one of the true testers of every build. Some builds don't have much of a problem here, and for some others this place is one of the 7 layers of hell. This time around I'm happy to conclude that our warlock has a great time here. His attacks have pierce, so he is able to work through a couple of enemies at the same time, despite the small narrow halls, allowing us to pick up the Staff of Kings without any problems. In the Claw Viper Temple I ended up finding the first small charm I thought was worth mentioning, a 20 life Vida charm. On level 2 we just teleport up to the middle, kill the couple of salamanders that are up there and grab the amulet. Normally the Arcane Sanctuary is one of the places where melee builds go to die. This place is filled with physical immunes that will chase you while you are getting stuck everywhere. Thanks to enchant we are able to work our way through all of it, no questions asked. We did encounter one annoying physical fire immune again, but if that's the worst of it with a melee build in the Arcane Sanctuary in hell, you're having a great run. At the end we casually teleport over to the summoner and take care of him to gain access to the Duriel fight. Duriel doesn't attack fast enough to work his way through my summons as long as I keep summoning them when they disappear. So while he is playing whack-a-mole with the goats, his life total casually evaporates and we move on towards the 3rd act. Act 3 mostly revolves around working your way through the jungle. To do so, I make my way through everybody's favorite area in the game, the Great Marsh. And as a testament to my patience, I immediately teleport into a group of champion zombies to save myself about half a second at the risk of losing the run. I mean, I don't know about you, but that sounds worth it to me. Later on in the Great Marsh, I end up finding the one weapon that had a big impact on this character. One of the hardest things so far has been keeping everything alive during the boss fights. The General Standu Liga solves that thanks to the Still Broken and Please Never fix that slows enemies by 50%. This affix just shuts down bosses and makes them completely free to fight, which means that every problem that we could have encountered in this run, be it damage, safety or boss fights, is now solved, leaving me with only one simple task: not playing like a buffoon and taking massive risks for no reason. I mean, I would never, of course. Nothing but the safest of play on this channel at all times. I definitely didn't allude to a very dangerous moment earlier that is coming up shortly. In the Flayer jungle I picked up the Git bin for a 3rd and final attempt at a good ring. Ormus was not feeling charitable however, so we got nothing instead. The Flayer dungeon ended up dropping me a unique trellised armor. You don't see this one very often, so I figured I'd give it a moment to shine. This armor in my opinion is criminally underutilized. It's only used on immortal sorceress builds, which is when you build a sorceress made around energy shield and put all your points into energy. But even on other builds this is an excellent armor thanks to the enormous damage and magic damage reduction which is applied at the base damage of an enemy's attack. Now if Blizzard was to casually put a roll of 1 to 3 sockets on here, which I definitely recommend they do, this could be a good contender for one of the strongest mid-level armors in the game. I mean, if Mantled Heal can get 10 faster cast rate, we can have some fun with this one as well. Thinking about it more, I'm sure there are lots of uniques that can be improved slightly to be immediately relevant. If you have any suggested changes to any set or unique, let me know in the comments. I would love to read them. Back in the action, my eternal record of safe playing may have gotten a smudge or two during the council fight in Travincal. I didn't realize that there was more than one council member waiting for me, so I decided to skip 2 seconds of walking around and just teleport in. Low rune, and behold my surprise when it wasn't just one, but the entire council waiting right there in ambush to smack my shit. If you're playing along, don't do things like this. It is dumb and unnecessary. I might have been able to play my way out of it, but it would have been extremely risky for no reason whatsoever. The second time around I did what I should have done the first time and attacked them from a reasonable position and got through them one at a time. There were some annoying spawns, but nothing that couldn't be worked through from a safe distance. They ended up dropping Bonehold, a rare ring with 24 life, 19 lightning, 30 fire and 8 poison resist. The easiest upgrade of my life. In the Durance of Hate, I want to give a big shout out to the goat army that allowed me to work through the dolls without even a single one getting through. Thanks to our new flail, the Mephisto fight is completely trivialized. I also think the game is trying to tell me something with all the set Chris we are finding, but I don't know what it would be. Seeing as how we are just doing a boss rush at this point, I only fought Iswal because I walked straight into him right at the start of the Plains of Despair. In the River of Flame I found what would become my final belt of the run. Gold Wrap has nothing of relevancy at all, but despite not needing any more items to beat the game, I can't resist the 30 magic find, not even at the cost of having a belt slot less to work with. We gotta drop that loot after all. I don't think there even is a rune we would want for this build right now, but we got a co-rune from the Hellforge. It will live happily ever after in my stash. Our build is complete and our gear is great, so even in the Chaos Sanctuary, one of the hardest to get through areas of the game, which makes sense cause it's where Diablo hangs out, we don't encounter any meaningful resistance. Thanks to the mercenaries' Holy Freeze, the goats aren't even taking a lot of damage, allowing me to mow everything down from behind a wall of damaged sponges. I needed to do some walking around during the Diablo fight, which is more than what needed to be done before the fight got fixed. It used to be that you could stand next to him and all his attacks would miss. This is no longer the case. And if I didn't have the Tando Liga, this fight might have been a challenge, but I do, so it wasn't. A small heads up by the way, I'm assuming most people know at this point, but Bale is going to be even easier. His animations break completely once you slow him down 50% or more, like he literally cannot attack anymore. Which means that all we need to do now is make our way through Act 5. The first thing I want here is my final socket. This means that I have to defeat Shank at the end of the Bloody Foothills. After using my reward on my armor, I didn't really have anything I wanted to put in there. My resistances are good. I'm at a solid almost 1500 life and we are doing well on all fronts. I ended up putting a soul rune in there, but that was more out of convenience than really needing to. One little routing trick is to leave a town portal in the crystalline passage and then move on through the act, so that once you find a waypoint you can go back and very easily pick up the resistance scroll quest from where you left the town portal. Saves you walking from the frigid highlands or wherever else you ended up finding a waypoint. Bale is going to be easy, so the true final boss of this run will be the Ancients. Don't worry, I'll show everything all the way through till the Guardian screen, but our final challenge is the 3 angry barbarians spending eternity in the snow. I don't know what causes it, but for some reason they ignore the goats and attack me directly. As you can imagine, I am not the greatest fan of this and end up having to kite around more than I've needed to all run. With the Ancients defeated, we are in the home stretch. The World Stone Keep level 2 ends up putting up more than token resistance in the form of souls. Can't have a run without those after all. But thanks to a very lucky map layout, I was able to walk around my problems instead of dealing with them. After all of that, I ended up finding the World Stone Keep level 2 waypoint, the first one I encountered since setting up my town portal. So I went back to the crystalline passage, made my way into the frozen river, killed Frozenstein, saved Anya and got my resistances maxed out. In the World Stone Keep level 3 I found a set Grand Matron bow, which is actually a pretty rare item. It's from Mavina, the Amazon class specific set, which is very specifically tailored to push you towards a goal based build. That kind of push towards a specific build is something I was missing here on Horazon. The set felt very jack of all trades, master of none. The power of the Warlock as a class hard carries any run you do with it. There aren't any bad skills on his skill trees, so as long as you click the things that are supposed to work with each other, you can't go wrong. And with that in mind, I wish the set wasn't such a mix of things that all kind of work with one of the builds. Power level wise, this set's fine. I'd put it around Griswolds, Immortal Kings or Tals. I wish I could tell you more, but this set did what it wanted to do, without any whistles, bells or fanfare. It gets you most of your resistances. It's not hard to wear stat wise. All in all, it's fine. The coolest part I personally think is the level 30 enchant. Because getting a skill like that allows you to do a melee build that isn't forced into the hexes, allowing you to get some summon action going if you want it, or you could get Fire Nova for some crowd control. The choice is yours. In the meanwhile, on screen Bale is being trivialized. And while the gear and build setup is on screen for the final time, showcasing how we actually had pretty bad luck item wise this entire run. I mean, we ended up with a gold wrap and a spirit on a melee throw hybrid build after all. Despite that though, we made it through, completing another one of the set runs, putting us at 15 out of 34 completed. So we are almost halfway through the series, which I think is pretty neat. That wraps it up for today though. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do the stuff that makes YouTube happy. So like and subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you think you have, go check if you actually are. Cause some of you think you are but aren't. And if you could leave a comment, that would be amazing as well. If you don't know what to say, just comment, please make the Berserker set good before Rabbit runs out of other options. With that, I'll see you all in the next one.